Good day and welcome to Disc Golf Down Under. It's Matt here, and this week I'm excited because I'm reviewing a disc from Australia's first and only disc manufacturer, Fourth Circle Discs, and you can't get any more Aussie than the Taipan. It's the world's most venomous land snake, and that's what this disc is named after. So let's jump in and check out Fourth Circle Discs Taipan. Okay, so before we get started, just to declare that these two discs were sent to me by Fourth Circle Discs, but I already had two of these in my collection, so 4 in total that I'll be using for this review. So that doesn't change what I have to say in this review. This is an honest review. I'm not being paid by Fourth Circle Discs. So I'll be giving away these 2 discs in a couple of weeks, but it's not just these 2, it's actually 3 discs in total to 2 lucky viewers. So stay tuned to the end of the video to see how you can win them. So before we start talking about the Taipan, a little bit about Fourth Circle Discs. So they started business back in 2015. They're a small shop based up in southeast Queensland in Australia, and they started out selling discs and involved in event management. But then in 2018, Fourth Circle Disc brought out their first disc, the Taipan, and this was manufactured by Pro Discus in Finland. So Aussie designed but manufactured overseas. Moving on to specs, and as always, just going through the numbers of this disc. So this is a 211mm diameter disc, which is almost the standard these days in most disc golf discs. Next is the rim width, which is 24mm, which makes it a very high speed disc, and it's rated as a speed 13, but for a 24mm disc, that's normally a speed 14. The total height of the disc is 16mm at the middle and 11mm out at the rim. So most of the discs manufactured by Fourth Circle Discs are at max weight. So max weight for this disc is 175 grams, and the lowest you can get is around about 172. Comes in 2 plastics. So it comes in the opaque plastic, which is called Ultra, and I'm guessing it's probably the same as Pro Discus Ultrium compound. And it also comes in premium, and it's the same as Pro Discus's premium compound. And the official flight rating for this disc is 13403.5, which I confirmed with Fourth Circle Discs. But even though on a lot of the discs they are stamped 13503. So without further ado, let's jump into our flight test now. And today I'm going to be throwing 2 Ultras. So there's the brand new Ultra, which was sent to me by Fourth Circle. That's a nice orange one. And I also have one that's about 2 years old, this old blue Taipan, and this one's a bit more beaten in. Also throwing 2 premium discs. So we have an older beaten in red one and a new one that was sent to me by Fourth Circle Discs. So this one has a different stamp on it. So as I mentioned, the Taipan is a speed 13 disc bordering on speed 14. I'm not the strongest thrower, so I can't get the most out of this disc. But this will give you a good idea how the average player will perform with this disc. So in the flight testing today, the wind was swirling around a little bit, so it does change direction and it is a bit swirly, so you will see the discs bounce around slightly. But these conditions are where the Taipan really shines. So starting off with a couple of throws with a slight hyzer release, and as you would expect from an overstable distance driver, this disc wants to go left to get to the ground quickly. So moving on to a flat release now, and you can see the disc holds up a little bit longer, but a similar flight path to the slight hyzer release. It still wants to go left and get to the ground relatively quickly. And both these discs here are beaten in, so they're a little more understable than the new ones. So moving on to a slight anhyzer release now, and this is where I can get the most out of this disc. So my throw is a little bit low, which cuts down the distance, but you can see it travels fairly straight, and then when it hits the ground it skips quite a lot. And this is actually quite deep lush grass, so it's very surprising. This is a very skippy disc. Then if I give the disc a little bit more air, you can see I can get a nice S-curve out of it. So it holds straight to the right for a little while and for the first half of its flight, and then it fades back hard at the end to the left. And you can see on my final throw here, I can get some decent distance out of this disc. Finally, I don't have any forehand throws to show because I'm a pretty terrible forehand thrower, But where I do like this disc is as a thumber disc. I have thrown this example here a little bit flatter so that it stays in view, but you can see it pans out nicely through the flight. Moving on to performance, and the feel of this disc is actually quite nice. For a speed 13, speed 14 disc, it feels good in the hand, and for me, it doesn't feel like a very high speed disc. It's quite comfortable, and preference-wise, I like the ultra plastic, so it's a little bit more grippy and feels good in the hand. The other great thing about the Ultra is it does beat in a bit faster, so you can beat that stability out of it a little bit quicker. For me, the flight rating is pretty much bang on the money. So speed 13, speed 14, glide of about 4, maybe as they beat in it might move towards 5. Turn of 0, I have seen a slight little bit of turn out of some of the discs as they beat in, so you might see that with a very strong throw, and the fade is around that 3 to 3.5. Anybody that saw my groove review a few weeks ago, you would have noticed that that was a very stable disc. The Taipan is not as stable as that groove that I was throwing. But these discs, brand new, out of the box, they are very stable and they do lack a little bit of glide. So you just need to work on them a bit to get the best out of them. So who is this disc for? Well, at speed 13, it's definitely not a disc for beginners. So if a beginner picks one of these up, it's going to bite you just like the Taipan does. So don't look at it if you're a beginner, and even intermediate players, you're not going to get the most out of it. This is really for advanced players, people with a high arm speed. And what's it for? Well, for me, it's more a utility role. So for those hard fading shots, ones that you need to skip, and I like it for the thumber. That's where I use it a lot. It's also a great wind fighter. So if you're playing in a really strong wind, usually I'll pull out my understable discs and whack in some stable ones, and that's when the Taipan goes in. And forehand players like this disc as well. It's quite good for forehand. It's got that lots of stability, so you can crank on it with a bit of Anheuser and get a nice S-curve with the forehand as well. Final thoughts on the Taipan. Well, honestly, I like this disc. I bagged one. I had one when they first came out in 2018. I had a premium. It was in my bag for for probably about 6 months before I lost it at the National Championships in 2018. So it's probably sitting down in Lake Burley Griffin somewhere in Canberra. But shortly after that, I was fortunate enough to win this Blue Ultra in a YouTube competition. And this is a disc that I've grown to love. Once it was beaten in, lost a bit of its stability. As I mentioned, this has become a great thumber disc and was sitting in my bag for around 2 years as a thumber disc. It's only just been knocked out of my bag by the MVP Photon, which I reviewed a couple of weeks ago. And the only reason is that because the Photon has a wide range of weights. So it allows me to carry 3 or 4 discs in my bag of the same mold that I feel comfortable with and I know the flight pattern. So for me, the Photon is a slightly more versatile disc. But as I mentioned, if it is a very windy day, if I've got a tournament, I will pull the understable discs out and I will put the Taipan in. And I still do love throwing this as a thumber, as I do the Photon as well. But at the end of the day, the Taipan lives up to its name. It does bite hard, it does want to go left, very overstable. But if you're looking for a disc like this, high speed, overstable disc, the Taipan is definitely worth checking out. Finally, I checked with Fourth Circle Discs as well. Production of the Taipan is going to remain with Pro Discus at the moment, but we may see this move to Australia in the future. Okay, now it's time to talk about the giveaway. So as I mentioned at the start of the video, I've got both Taipans to give away, but it's not just the Taipans. I've got a pack here of 3 discs from Fourth Circle Discs. So that'll be the first one. And if you want to see what's in the what the other 2 discs are, check out the next couple of weeks coming up. And I've also got a second pack. So 3 discs in each one. So 1 lucky viewer will win this one and 1 will win this one. So there's 2 ways that you can enter, and you can enter in both if you wish. The first is the YouTube pack. So that is the Ultra pack of discs. So you're going to get an Ultra Taipan plus 2 other Ultra discs, which you'll see in the following weeks. And to go into the draw to win that pack, what you need to do is make sure that you subscribe to the Disc Golf Down Under channel and leave a comment down below and let me know what you would use the Taipan for. Where do you think the Taipan would sit in your bag? What would you use it for? And the second pack, which I'm going to call the Facebook pack, to go into the draw to win that one, you need to find the Disc Golf Down Under Facebook page and like the page, and also find the review video and leave a comment tagging a friend who might like the Taipan. So you've got until Friday the 13th of November to put in your entries for the competition. The prize will be drawn shortly after. In total, we've got 3 videos coming up, and you can enter both the YouTube and Facebook competition. So up 6 chances in total to win one of these packs. So I hope you enjoyed this review of the 4th Circle Discs Taipan. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well for more upcoming content. And make sure you maximize your chances of winning the giveaway. So good luck with that, and we'll see you in the next one.